Hey, what's good, YouTube? It's your man, Oren Mays. Today I was really missing my KORG KP3 Plus. It was kind of this live effects looper thing I used to lug around with me back in the hardware days. It used to have a really neat grain shifter, including a beat grain and a stutter grain effect that I used, especially in the Translucid Collective song with Ian Aramoni. It was called Serengeti Diamond Stream. In the back half of that song, it was used pretty heavily. It was either the beat grain or the stutter grain shifter effect. And I was wondering if I could cook up anything comparable using a bunch of in-house Ableton stuff today, and I was mostly able to do so. I only implemented one little fun little trick using Machine, their little in-house gadgets. So I'll show you what the sound what it sounded like before I worked it up into an effects rack. It was pretty non-rhythmic, just a bunch of cartoon samples, mangled. But here's what I did to it.
Okay.
So, from the ground up, the first thing I did was obviously I just trimmed a bunch of the bottom off of the EQ and the top and just really retained, a small chunk of it just for the sake of not having a very muddied mix. The one trick that I was able to do with Machine that I wasn't able to do elsewhere was use their grain delay. I'll show you what I did with that here. In fact, I'll just shut everything in the chain afterward off real quick. You'll just mind me. This is the fun part. And keep that limiter up. What I did here was I just used grain delay. First of all, don't forget to route your input one left and right. And no pitch, just 50%. Everything else is 0. 50% size, reversed, and 100% mix. Everything else is 0, 0, 0. And here's what it does. Without it. So that was sort of a thing that I wanted to have it do. I wanted to make sure it kind of just muddied any sample. I mean, heck, for copyright reasons, that leaves you, safe, clean, and clear. No one can, John C. Reilly can't come running after me for using his vocal stylings as a bird on a cartoon. The next thing I did was using the Guitar Rig 6, which I'll show you in a second. Don't despair. You don't really need the Machine 2 effects or the Guitar Rig 6. You can do this all in-house. Including the LFO from Max for Live and utility here within Ableton's own effects bank. Whether it was a MIDI effect or audio effect, I don't care. You can always just type in the name and, the category and you'll find it, whatever. I'm using Guitar Rig 6 here specifically and only using the Tractor Gator special effect. And that's what I'm doing for the arpeggiated, really kind of gated up type of sound I'm getting here. I turned off the noise. Rate is 1/16, shape is 20, and putting it 100% dry wet is just a completely wet setup there. Alternately, you can use the LFO and utility. Just use the utility tool under utilities, and you can achieve a pretty similar setup. What I did is I set up the 1/16 note, as opposed to hertz, 1/16 rate, and I set it to square here. You can also use down. It'll do this, but square is a nice, square. In order to map it to the utility, what I did was went under this little show hide multi-map. I hit the map button as I'll demo now to here, but that's already mapped, so no. Anyway, I mapped it, and then I click this, click that. Make sure it's 0 and 50% because it's originally set to 100%. That sends the gain screaming. So just make sure that this is 50%. And you won't go deaf in the process of hooking up your LFO to your utility and achieving that kind of arpeggiated sound. The next thing I did was a pretty neat trick. You can actually tune a timed delay with your tuner here, it'll pick it up, I swear to God. See, it's set to B right now, and it's coming through every once in a blue moon as minus 0.1 cents, which is less than a hundredth off, minus 0.2. In other words, it's almost absolutely perfectly in tune. It's off by only thousandths. If you want to tune your, just synchronize your left and right channels of your delay, 32.4 in this case being a B. Now don't overdo your wet to dry here, because you'll notice that that screws up your... Actually, that doesn't do a terrible job of messing up the gate. It seemed to do so when I had this nice sharp guitar rig gate. Yeah, see, it messed that up because that's just doing a really sharp thing. So I have my dry wet here and my feedback here, each at 50%. And that's that. I have dotted quarter note delay after the fact with a good ping pong. I'm setting them to 4. You could set them to 6 if you want. Don't forget a utility at the end just for the sake of volume. Limiter for the heck of it. And there you have it. If you wanted to have a little bit of fun beyond that, and you wanted to get closer to having a nicer, say you got a controller of some kind, you want to have a setup, what I did was I hit configure in Guitar Rig 6. I already clicked on the gator mix, the gator shape, and the gator rate, as you could tell. The boom. I clicked this, I clicked that, and I clicked the other thing. Now what that enables me to do is I come back here and turn off configure. I can right click each of these, map them to macros, as I had hit Control G on, you know, first of all, highlight one of your effects. Control A highlights all of your effects. Just do it right there. And then you can Control G, and that'll give you your macros attached to all the things and stuff. I'm sure you can do something comparable here with the LFO and or the, you know, the utility parameters in terms of just very easily right-clicking and mapping them to macros. You know, you can just put the gator shape, you can open it up a little bit more. In fact, I'll just tweak with them here for the sake of some fun, because that's what we're having. That's enough for now. Stay creative.